We are live and we are doing live about what's the topic? Let's see. What are we curious about? Matthew McConaughey. I cannot spell the last name, but okay, let's see. Matthew McConaughey. He wrote a book called Green Lights. I read about his story a bit. It's pretty interesting. All right. Matthew David McConaughey, born November 4, 1969. Oh, that's crazy. 1969. He is more than. He's 55? Somewhere around that. In Ulvey, Texas, is an American actor known for his versatile roles in film and television. He first gained recognition with a supporting role in the coming of age comedy Dazed and Confused, where he played David Wooderson, a character that became iconic for his laid back attitude and the line, alright, alright, alright. That's actually crazy. Like a random dialogue. I think I saw the clip of that and him describing what exactly happened over there. He was supposed to just drive into a, like, take a car, bring his car into a driveway and just talk to someone. And it was his first ever dialogue, first ever role in a movie. And that's the first thing that came to his mind. All right, all right, all right. And that has just become his iconic dialogue. Very interesting. It's like he's just milking on it now. McConaughey's career took off with the lead roles in films like the legal drama Time to Kill, where he played Jake Brigance, in the science fiction film Contact as Palmer Jaws. His early 2000 roles in romantic comedies such as The Wedding Planner, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and Failure to Launch established him as a sex symbol. His career saw a significant shift in the early 2010s, often referred to as the McConaissance, McConaissance, where he began taking on more dramatic roles. This was very interesting. Like, I think I have watched, I definitely watched like a breakdown, a guy who break down his entire career. I don't remember. I think I watched one of his movies, and that got me really interested in Matthew McConaughey. And I don't know how he appeared on a podcast and he was talking all spiritual stuff, and I was like, I'm really interested in his career. And then I actually did a deep dive. Like, there was a guy who made a mini documentary about his entire career, and I watched that. It's been less than a year. However, McConaughey's career saw a significant shift in the early 2010s, often referred to as McConaissance, where he began taking on more dramatic roles. This period started with The Lincoln Lawyer and included critically acclaimed performances in Bernie, Killer Joe, Mud, and Magic Mike. His role as Ron Woodroof in Dallas Buyers Club 2013 earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor, along with other prestigious awards like Golden Globe and the Screen Actors Guild Award. He starred in Wolf of Wall Street 2013. It's crazy that Wolf of Wall Street came out in 2013. It's been 12 years since Wolf of Wall Street came out. It was shot in such a beautiful way. It seems like it was just like a couple of years back. And played Detective Rust Cole in the first season of HBO's True Detective, earning a nomination for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in Drama Series. His filmography also includes notable roles in Interstellar, The Sea of Trees, Free State of Jones, The Gentleman, where he also served as a co-producer. He's lent his voice to animated films like Kubo and Two Strings and Sing, and its sequel Sing 2. I've never heard of Sing. Beyond acting, he's known for his personal life, being a husband, father of three, and engaging in various other roles such as professor, creative director, and even a pickle expert. He's also ventured into writing with his book Green Lights, becoming a bestseller. Phew. Okay, I cannot spell his last name. Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey. Okay. Alright, let's see some quotes. I think this will be the most interesting thing. Life is a series of commas, not periods. Mm. There's a difference in thinking you are a champion and knowing that you are. In thinking you are a champion and knowing that you are. I'm most fearless in my belief in my mankind's benevolence and the common denominator of the values among us. Instead of denying these fears, declare them, say them out loud, admit them, give them the credit they deserve, find the courage to overcome them. Oh, first movie. Let me tell you this, the older you do get, oh, let me tell you this, the older you do get, the more rules they're gonna try to get you to follow. You just gotta keep living, man. Livin. The older you get, the more rules they're gonna try to get you to follow. Man who invented the hamburger was smart. Man who invented the cheeseburger was a genius. Why don't they teach this in every school? There are three things to my account that I need each day. One of them is something to look up to, another is something to look forward to, and another is someone to chase. Life is not a popularity contest. Be brave, take the hill. But first, answer the question, what is success to you? On personal growth, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not I know who I am, but rather I know who I am not. Process of elimination. The good part about jealousy is that it comes from passion. It's also the dangerous part, and it's an ugly emotion that hurts. On gratitude, it's a scientific fact that gratitude reciprocates. The good part about jealousy is that it comes from passion. It's also the dangerous part, and it's an ugly emotion that hurts. It's a scientific fact that gratitude reciprocates. On fear, there's two sorts of fear. One you embrace, and one you should listen to and turn the other way. One you embrace and one you should listen to and turn the other way. Okay. One where you could actually lose your life, something like that. On self improvement, my rule is to break one sweat a day. On decision making, sometimes which choice you make is not as important as making a choice and committing to it. Sometimes which choice you make is not as important as making a choice and committing to it. Great leaders are not always in front, they also know who to follow. On life's challenges, the problems we face today eventually turn into blessings in the rear view mirror of life. To lose the power of confrontation is to lose the power of unity. On the nature of life, all destruction eventually leads to construction, all death eventually leads to birth, all pain eventually leads to pleasure. All destruction eventually leads to construction, all death eventually leads to birth, all pain eventually leads to pleasure. Knowing the truth, seeking the truth, and telling the truth are all different experiences. Knowing the truth, seeing the truth, and telling the truth are all different experiences. Nowadays, most people die of a sort of creeping common sense and discover when it is too late that the only things one never regrets are one's mistakes. Nowadays, most people die of a sort of creeping common sense and discover when it is too late that the only things one never regrets are one's mistakes. Time and truth, two constants you can rely on. One shows up for the first time every time, while the other never leaves. Time and truth, two constants you can rely on. One shows up for the first time every time, while the other one never leaves. On the philosophy of life, I believe everything we do in life is part of a plan. Sometimes the plan goes as intended, and sometimes it doesn't. That's part of the plan. On the concept of luck, God's lucky. The goddess of luck is fortune. Fortune is the sister of fate. Fate is the divine order, and the divine order is God. So, as far as I can tell, if you believe in luck, you believe in God. God's lucky. The goddess of luck is fortune. Fortune is the sister of fate. Fate is the divine order, and the divine order is God. These quotes reflect his philosophy on life, success, personal growth, and the human experience, often drawn from his own experience and insights shared in his book Green Lights and various interviews. What are his most memorable quotes from his movies? Let's see. From Dazed and Confused, alright, alright, alright. This catchphrase, uttered by McConaughey's character David Wooderson, has become iconic and is often associated with the actor himself. From Interstellar, played from the beginning. This poignant moment captures the emotional depth of McConaughey's character, Cooper, as he reconnects with his daughter Murph after years apart. Played from the beginning. From VR, Marshall, laid on the line until the final whistle blows. If you do that, we cannot lose. Laid on the line until the final whistle blows. If you do that, we cannot lose. This motivational speech by McConaughey's character Jack Lengyel encapsulates the spirit of perseverance and dedication. From Dallas Buyers Club, shake his hand. Ron Woodorf challenges his friend to overcome prejudice and show respect to Ryan, a transgender character. The Wedding Planner, are you okay? Simple yet endearing line from McConaughey's character Steve Edison captures a moment of genuine concern and care. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. It would be a lot cooler if you did. This quote, although not directly from McConaughey, is often associated with his character Benjamin Berry due to its memorable delivery. It would be a lot cooler if you did. Magic Mike. Fact is, the law says you cannot touch. Mud. You can call me Mud. Simple introduction sets the tone of the film's narrative. Time to Kill. Bernie. I call this my wheel of misfortune. This humorous line from McConaughey's character Danny Buck adds a lighthearted touch to the film. How does his acting style differ between his romantic comedies and dramatic roles? Let's see. In his rom-coms, he often plays the charming, laid-back, sometimes shirtless leading man. His performances are characterized by a breezy, easygoing demeanor, often delivering lines with a southern drawl and a twinkle in his eye. This persona was epitomized in films like How to Lose a Guy and The Wedding Planner. It is noted that in romantic comedies, one must bounce along the clouds and not love as hard, get mad as hard, hate as hard, or laugh as hard as in drama. This means his characters often exhibit a level of emotional restraint to keep the tone light and comedic. Typecasting. Marked by a string of rom-coms which led to typecasting, felt that these roles lacked the depth he was experiencing in his real life, prompting him to seek more challenging parts. Depth and intensity. With the McConaughey transitioned to roles that allowed him to delve into complex characters with depth and intensity. Films like Dallas Buyers Club, The Wolf of Wall Street, and True Detective showcase his ability to portray characters with profound emotional and psychological layers. In dramatic roles, McConaughey brings a raw authenticity and vulnerability to his performances. He explores the full spectrum of human emotions from despair to triumph, as seen as Oscar-winning role in Bars Club, where he lost significant weight to portray. Alright, he lost a lot of weight. Ron Woodroof. His decision to leave Hollywood for 2 years to avoid rom coms was a pivotal moment in his career. This break allowed him to return with a renewed focus on dramatic roles, proving his versatility and earning critical acclaim. Rebranding. McConaughey's shift from rom coms to dramatic roles was not just about acting, but also about personal branding. He redefined himself on his own terms, attracting new audiences and opportunities. His down to earth persona and ability to connect with audiences make him a powerful ambassador for brands, further shaping his personal brand beyond the screen. Hmm. Give me interesting stories from the time of McConaissance. The birth of McConaissance. He himself coined the term McConaissance during a red carpet interview at a film festival in 2013 while promoting the film Mud. He fed the phrase to a journalist who loved it, and it stuck, becoming a viral term for his career resurgence. Hmm, this is cool. The decision to rebrand. McConaughey McConaughey McConaughey's decision to rebrand his career was not an overnight choice. He took a break from acting, turning down lucrative rom-com roles, and spent his time in Australia working various jobs. Hmm. This period of introspection led him to pursue roles that scared him, marking the beginning of his dramatic turn. The role of Ron Woodroof. McConaughey's role in Dallas Buyers Club was pivotal in his career transformation. He lost 47 pounds to portray Ron, a homophobic Texan who contracts HIV and becomes an advocate for AIDS patients. This role earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor, solidifying his dramatic credentials. Following Buyers Club, he starred in the first season of HBO's True Detective as Rust Cole, a deeply troubled detective. His performance was widely acclaimed, earning him a nomination for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in Drama Series. The McConaissance as self-marketing. He admitted that the McConaissance was part of his self-marketing strategy. He wanted to refine his career on his own terms, moving away from the rom-com label and exploring more challenging roles. The impact of Mud. Mud was one of the films that marked McConaughey's shift to more serious roles. His performance as the titular character, a fugitive hiding on an island, showcases his ability to carry a film with depth and complexity. Hmm. A fugitive hiding on an island showcases ability to carry a film with depth and complexity. The McConaissance's journey. His journey from rom-com star to dramatic actor was not just about the roles he took, but also about his personal growth. He spoke about his desire to be taken seriously as an actor and his commitment to the craft, which was evident in his choice of roles during this period. As a cultural phenomenon, the term McConaissance became a cultural phenomenon symbolizing not just McConaughey's career revival but also the broader narrative of an actor breaking free from typecasting and reinventing himself. Which other actors are known to have gone through a resurgence similar to McConaissance? Nicolas Cage, Robert Downey, that's true. interesting. Brendan Fraser. After a year of absence from the screen, Fraser made a triumphant return with his role in The Whale, earning an Oscar for his performance. Hugh Grant. Following a series of less successful films, his career was revitalized with his role in Paddington 2, which earned him a surprise BAFTA nomination. Keaton's career was kick-started again with Birdman, leading to a renaissance in his career with roles in blockbusters and acclaimed TV shows. Leslie Nielsen. His career was completely reinvented with Airplane, turning him from a drama actor into a comedy maven. Ki Hui Kwan. After a long hiatus from acting, Kwan returned with a starring role in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, earning critical acclaim and awards. Mike Rourke's career was revived with Sin City and later with his Oscar-nominated performance in The Wrestler. Jennifer Coolidge. After years of less prominent roles, Coolidge's career was reignited with her role in The White Lotus, earning her both Emmy and Golden Cage awards. Nicolas Cage. Following a string of critically panned films, he experienced a resurgence with roles in indie films. Marlon Brando. Before The Godfather, Brando was considered box office poison, but his role as Vito Corleone revitalized his career. That's crazy. That's crazy. Winona Ryder. After a hiatus from Hollywood due to personal issues, Ryder made a comeback with Stranger Things and Black Swan. Robert Downey. Known for his personal struggles, his career was saved by his role as Tony Stark in Iron Man, leading to a successful run in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. John Travolta. His career was revitalized with Pulp Fiction after a period of decline. Eddie Murphy. After a series of less successful films, Murphy made a comeback with Dolomite Is My Name and Coming to America. Marlon Brando. Quotes. Let's see. That's crazy. He was considered a box office poison. Wow. On acting. An actor must interpret life, and in order to do so, he must be willing to accept all experiences that life can offer. He must be willing to accept all experiences that life can offer. On success. Too much success can ruin you as much as too much failure. Too much success can ruin you as much as too much failure. On privacy. Privacy is not something that I'm merely entitled to, it's an absolute prerequisite. On love. If you've never known love, you never know where it is. You don't know what it looks like or it sounds like. You look in the most unlikely places to find it. You never know where it is. You don't know what it looks like or it sounds like. You look in the most unlikely places to find it. On acting as a career. If you're successful, acting is about as soft a job as anybody could ever wish for. But if you're unsuccessful, it's worse than having a skin disease. If you are successful, acting is about as soft a job as anybody could ever wish for. But if you are unsuccessful, it's worse than having a skin disease. On Hollywood, the only reason I'm in Hollywood is that I don't have the moral courage to refuse the money. The only reason I'm in Hollywood is that I don't have the moral courage to refuse the money. On life, regret is useless in life. It's in the past. All we have is now. On the nature of acting. Acting is the expression of a neurotic impulse. It's a bum's life. Quitting acting is a sign of maturity. Acting is the expression of a neurotic impulse. It's a bum's life. Quitting acting is a sign of maturity. On the pursuit of materialism. The pursuit of the material has become a reason for living, not enjoyment of living itself. On the mafia. Mafia is the best example of capitalism we have. On the value of actors. Would people applaud me if I were a good plumber? On the nature of success. This is a false world. It's been a struggle to try to preserve my sanity and sense of reality taken away by success. This is a false world. It's been a struggle to try to preserve my sanity and sense of reality taken away by success. On the importance of family. Do you spend time with your family? Good. Because a man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. On the nature of fame. People will like you who never met you in life. They think you are absolutely wonderful. And then people also will hate you for reasons that have nothing to do with any real experience with you. On the nature of acting. I'm not an actor and haven't been for years. I'm a human being, hopefully a concerned and somewhat intelligent one who occasionally acts. On the nature of reality. The principal benefit acting has afforded me is the money to pay for my psychoanalysis. The principal benefit acting has afforded me is the money to pay for my psychoanalysis. I'm not an actor. I haven't been for years. I'm a human being, hopefully a concerned and somewhat intelligent one who occasionally acts. The principal benefit acting has afforded me is the money to pay for my psychoanalysis. On the nature of success. I don't know what people expect when they meet me. On the nature of acting. If there are 200 people in the room and one of them doesn't like me, I've got to get out. I refuse to be a fool dancing on a string held by all those big shots. I don't apologize. That's my life. I don't see anybody as evil. When you start seeing people as evil, you're in trouble. These quotes reflect Brando's deep insights into life, acting, success, and the human condition, showcasing his unique perspective and the impact of his career on his personal philosophy. Never confuse the size of your paycheck with the size of your talent. Marlon Brando. Wow. Why was he known as Poison at the box office? On the importance of family. Do you spend time with your family? Good, because a man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. His personal life was marked by numerous relationships, often tumultuous, reflecting his unresolved feelings of abandonment by his mother. He once remarked, in terms of his romantic life, his unresolved feelings of being abandoned by his mother made it virtually impossible for him to stay committed to a relationship. While he had the need to bond and connect with women, he would eventually feel suffocated and abandon them out of the fear that they would abandon him first. On the impact of family dynamics, his relationship with his father was particularly strained. He noted nothing I did ever pleased or even interested him. He was a hard drinking, womanizing, macho traveling salesman who was physically abusive and highly critical of his son. This dynamic influenced his own approach to family and relationships. Nothing I did ever pleased or even interested him. He was a hard drinking, womanizing, macho traveling salesman who was physically abusive and highly critical of his son. On the role of forgiveness. In his later years, he attempted to reconcile with his parents' shortcomings, understanding the burden of parenthood better. He reflected, I never tried to be like my father, but one inadvertently takes on the characteristics of one's parents. When my father died, I imagined that he was slump shouldered, walking to the edge of eternity. He looked back and said, I did the best I could, kid. Finally, I forgave my father because I realized that I was a sinner because of him, but he was a sinner because of his mother, because his mother left him when he was 4. He didn't have a chance. On the contradictions of family loyalty. Portrayal of Vito Corleone in The Godfather highlighted the theme of family loyalty, but also the destructive nature of revenge and the mafia lifestyle. The film suggests that attempting to protect or do good through evil ultimately fails to protect or do good, emphasizing the importance of forgiveness over vengeance. Attempting to protect or do good through evil ultimately fails to protect or do good, emphasizing the importance of forgiveness over vengeance. Hmm. Why was Marlon Brando before The Godfather? Due to a series of box office flops and his difficult behavior on set. Whoa, 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 whoa. Throughout the 60s, he starred in several films that were commercial failures. Notable among these were The Ugly American, Bedtime Story, The Appaloosa, A Countess from Hong Kong, and The Night of the Following Day. These films did not perform well at the box office, leading to a perception that Brando was no longer a draw for audiences. Critical reception. Critics were increasingly dismissive of Brando's work during this period. His performances were often criticized for not living up to his earlier, more acclaimed roles. For instance, Candy, 1968, was described as the nadir of his career, with critics like Pauline Kael noting his self indulgence and pathetically mocking his public reputation. Hmm. His reputation for being difficult to work with was well established. His behavior on set, including his refusal to memorize lines and his general attitude towards others, made him a liability for studios. This was evident in films like The Apocalypse Now, 79, where his late arrival and disagreements with the director and co stars caused significant disruptions. Financial mismanagement. His personal life also contributed to his decline. After earning $1 million in his first 10 years of acting, his earnings were lost in his father's failed investment, leaving him financially strained. Hmm. After earning $1 million in his first 10 years of acting, his earnings were lost in his father's failed investment. Okay, quick disruption over there. We are back. Brando's personal life also contributed to his decline. By the early 70s, Brando was considered unbankable due to his lack of box office hits since The Young Lions in 58. His last Academy Award nomination was for Sayonara in the same year. Whoa, 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 whoa. From 58 up until 79? When did Godfather happen? Marlon Brando. Godfather was in 79, I think, yeah. Wow. Almost 20 years. Wow, crazy. His last Academy Award nomination was for Sayonara in the same year, further highlighting his professional decline. Wow, wow. These factors combined to create a perception that Brando was no longer a reliable or profitable actor, leading Paramount Pictures to initially resist casting him in The Godfather. However, his screen test for the role of Vito Corleone was so compelling that it changed the studio's mind, ultimately leading to one of the most iconic performances in cinema history. Wow. giving interesting stories from Marlon Brando's screen test for the role of Vito Corleone. It seems like they intentionally made his face like that. Hmm. So he spoke a little bit like mafia. The screen test. Paramount executives were initially against casting Brando due to his reputation for being difficult on set. However, director Francis Ford Coppola managed to secure a screen test by cleverly disguising it as a sample take to test equipment. Brando, aware of the ruse, transformed himself into the older Don Corleone, using shoe polish to blacken his hair and stuffing Kleenex into his lower cheeks to achieve the bulldog like appearance. Hmm. Hmm. Bulldog like appearance. That's crazy. That's crazy. Using shoe polish to blacken his hair and stuffing Kleenex into his lower cheeks to achieve the bulldog like appearance, he mumbled quietly, exuding his famous screen aura, and even Brando himself was happy with the result, saying he thought he had gotten the appearance of being mean looking, but warm underneath. The appearance of being mean looking, but warm underneath. The studio's reluctance. Paramount was so opposed to Brando's casting that they set conditions they believed could never be met, including a screen test. When Coppola showed the studio executives the footage, they initially didn't recognize Brando, and Stanley Jaffe, the studio head, reluctantly agreed to his casting. The headline in Variety proclaimed, "No stars for Godfather cast, just someone named Brando." No stars for Godfather cast, just someone named Brando. Brando's preparation. His screen test was not just about his performance but also his physical transformation. He used everyday items like shoe polish and Kleenex to alter his appearance, showcasing his commitment to the role despite his reputation for being difficult. The screen test was so compelling that it changed the studio's mind about his casting. His performance was described as mean looking but warm underneath. What were some of the specific challenges he faced during the filming of Godfather? Concept script rewrites. The script was constantly being rewritten, which meant Brando had to rely on cue cards for his lines. Bulldog. The script was constantly being rewritten, which meant Brando had to rely on cue cards for his lines. This was due to last minute changes that were too numerous for him to commit to memory in the time available. Refusal to memorize lines. He was notorious for refusing to memorize his lines, a habit that continued from his earlier films. Instead, he would read his lines off cue cards, sometimes even stuck on other actors whose backs were to the camera. Mm. Physical transformation. He transformed himself into Vito Corleone using shoe polish to darken his hair and stuffing tissue paper in his cheeks to alter the shape of his face. This impromptu decision during his screen test became an iconic part of his look, but it required a special dental plumper to maintain the effect throughout filming. Wow. 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 Look at this. Bulldog. Crazy. Crazy. Huh. Paramount was initially against casting Brando due to his reputation. His screen test, however, was compelling that it changed the studio's mind. While Brando was on his best behavior during The Godfather, his general attitude towards others and his refusal to memorize lines were still a concern for the studio, reflecting his reputation for being difficult. His preference for improvisation over traditional acting methods was a challenge for the production as it required flexibility from the director and crew. The cat in Brando's lap during the opening scene was not planned, and its purring almost ruined the scene by drowning out Brando's dialogue. What were the reactions of Brando's co-stars to his unconventional acting methods? Jessica Tandy. Hmm. In A Streetcar Named Desire, Tandy, who played Blanche, was infuriated by Brando's behavior. He rarely arrived on time, had difficulty memorizing lines due to dyslexia, and his luxurious pauses disrupted the rhythm of scenes. Tandy found him an impossible, psychopathic bastard and warned him that his behavior would hurt his reputation for irresponsibility. Carl Malden, Marlon, who played Mitch in Streetcar, was also frustrated by Brando's unpredictable timing and lack of consistency in his performance. He expressed his frustration, saying, "Who the hell can get anything done around here? There's no rhythm to the scene. One day you are too early, the next you don't come in at all." During the filming of The Godfather, Duvall had to accommodate Brando's refusal to memorize lines by having cue cards taped to his chest. Reeve, who worked with Brando in Superman, was one of the few who called him out on his behavior, noting that Brando doesn't care anymore. His co stars often found his behavior challenging. His refusal to memorize lines, his late arrivals, and his improvisational style were seen as unprofessional by many. However, his talent and the mystique around him meant that studios and directors were willing to put up with his antiques, which involved deep emotional exploration and improvisation. Could be both inspiring and frustrating. His co stars had to adapt to his unpredictable performances, which sometimes led to tension on set. Professionalism versus talent. While his talent was undeniable, his lack of traditional professionalism was a point of contention. Had to adjust their performance to accommodate his methods, which could disrupt the flow of scenes. Hmm. What was the impact of The Godfather on Marlon Brando's career? Resurgence. He was considered unbankable due to a series of box office flops in the 60s. His performance as Vito Corleone was a career turning point, putting him back in the top 10 box office stars and earning him second best actor Oscar. His portrayal of Vito Corleone was widely acclaimed, with critics and audiences alike recognizing it as one of the finest performances. His screen test for the role was so compelling that it changed Paramount's mind about casting him despite their initial reluctance. He negotiated a deal for The Godfather that included a percentage of the box office receipts, reportedly netting him about 2 million from the film. The financial success was a stark contrast to his previous box office failures. He became an iconic character, defining the classic mobster role and inspiring a generation of actors and filmmakers. His performance set a new standard for the portrayal of mafia characters in cinema. This is really interesting because you cannot just pick a person who's been known to be having a really good behavior to suddenly act as a mafia guy. But someone like Brando. he was in the perfect position to act like a mafia, a bulldog. He was on his best behavior during the filming of Godfather. He used his influence to support the creatives on the project, acting as the head of the family, much like his character. He starred in Lost Tango in Paris, another critically acclaimed and controversial film, further solidifying his status as top tier actor. However, his interest in acting waned and he began taking smaller roles, often for higher fees, reflecting his disillusionment with the industry. Not only revitalized Brando's career but also left an indelible mark on the film industry. It paved way for new type of cinema, influencing directors like Martin Scorsese and Brian De Palma, and allowing for a generation of actors to be inspired by Brando's flawless performance. However, it also marked the beginning of his disinterest in traditional acting roles, leading him to take smaller parts and eventually step away from spotlight. Hmm. Let's go to Grok now. What led Marlon Brando to eventually step away from the spotlight? Gradually stepped away from the spotlight due to a combination of personal disillusionment, traumatic experience, and a desire for privacy after a roller coaster career and life in the public eye. He burst onto the scene in the 40s and 50s with the groundbreaking performances in films like Streetcar 51, wow, and Waterfront 54, where his raw method acting style redefined Hollywood. As his fame grew, so did his discomfort with the industry and its trappings. He became increasingly critical of Hollywood's superficiality, once famously saying, acting is the least mysterious of all crafts. Is the least mysterious of all crafts, expressing disdain for the celebrity culture that engulfed him. Personal tragedies. His later life was marked by profound personal struggles. 90, his so we are talking like 40 years apart. Wow. His son Christian killed oh, 90, his son Christian killed Dag, the boyfriend of his daughter, in a highly publicized incident at Brando's Los Angeles home. Christian claimed it was an accident, but the trial and media frenzy devastated Brando. Shane, plagued by mental health issues, took her own life at 95. These events left Brando emotionally shattered and fueled his desire to withdraw from public life. Disillusionment with acting. By the 70s, Brando, 70, so 20-year difference. Brando's passion for acting had waned, despite delivering iconic roles like Vito in The Godfather, for which he won an Oscar. He famously rejected by sending Native American activists to the ceremony to protest. He grew tired of the craft. He took on roles for financial reasons rather than artistic fulfillment, such as his exorbitantly paid cameo in Superman 78. His infamous behavior on the set of Apocalypse Now, where he arrived overweight and unprepared, reflected his disengagement. Reclusive lifestyle. He sought solace in isolation, retreating to his private island Tetiaroa in French Polynesia, which he purchased in 67. The island became a sanctuary from fame's pressures, allowing him to live simply far from Hollywood's gaze. His weight gain and eccentric public appearances, like showing up to testify in Christian's trial in mismatched clothes, further signaled his rejection of celebrity norms. He increasingly channeled his energy into causes like civil rights and Native American advocacy, often at the expense of his acting career. His focus shifted from personal accolades to using his platform for social justice, which didn't align with staying in the limelight. By the 80s and 90s, Brando's film appearances became sporadic and less impactful, with projects like The Island of Dr. Moreau, 96, marred by behind the scenes chaos. His final on screen role was in The Score, a quiet coda to a tumultuous career. He died in 2004 at age 80, having spent his later years largely out of sight, a recluse by choice after decades of brilliance and burdens. Stepped away due to a mix of exhaustion with fame, devastating family tragedies, and a preference for a private life over the Hollywood machine he had long outgrown. Hmm. Rooted in his disdain for industry's obsession with fame, image, and commercialism over substance, artistry, and authenticity. Known for his raw, introspective acting style, he often clashed with the polished, profit driven machinery of Tinseltown, and he didn't shy away from voicing his contempt. Acting is an overrated craft. Brando famously downplayed the mystique of acting, rejecting the idea that it was some noble or profound art form. He once said acting is the least mysterious of all crafts. Everybody acts, whether it's a little girl playing with her dolls or a politician making a speech. To him, Hollywood inflated the importance of acting to feed its ego and sell tickets, ignoring the fact that it was just a job, one he felt didn't deserve the reverence it received. Hmm. Focus on image over talent. Brando loathed how Hollywood prioritized appearance and marketability over genuine skill. He saw the industry as a factory churning out stars based on looks or charisma rather than depth. His frustration was evident in his own career choices, like letting his physical appearance deteriorate in later years almost as a rebellion against the expectation to maintain a glamorous persona. Exploitation and hypocrisy. He criticized Hollywood for its exploitative nature both of actors and audiences. He felt the industry cared more about profit than storytelling or societal impact or social impact. His rejection of the Oscar for The Godfather in 72, sending Sachin Littlefeather to protest Native American misrepresentation, was a public jab at Hollywood's hypocrisy, spotlighting how it glorified itself while ignoring real world issues. Celebrity worship. Brando detested the cult of celebrity that Hollywood fostered. He found the adulation absurd and intrusive, once remarking, I don't know what people expect when they meet me. They seem to want something I can give. He saw fame as a hollow byproduct of a shallow system, not a reward for meaningful work, and it drove him to retreat from the public eye. Lack of artistic integrity. In interviews in his 94 memoir, Songs My Mother Taught Me, Brando expressed disillusionment with how films were made, scripted not for truth but for escapism or box office appeal. He felt directors and producers often stifled creativity, turning actors into puppets for formulaic projects. His infamous on-set antics, like improvising lines or showing up unprepared, were partly a middle finger to this rigid, soulless structure. His critiques weren't just philosophical, he lived them. He took roles for money rather than passion later in life, openly admitting it as if to expose the transactional reality behind the glitz. For instance, he reportedly earned millions for minutes of screen time in Superman, highlighting how even he played the game he despised. Yet his biting sarcasm and indifference, like calling Hollywood a cultural boneyard, cemented his view that it was a place where art went to die, drowned out of superficial noise. In essence, Brando saw Hollywood as a gilded cage, shiny on the outside, empty within, and he spent much of his life wrestling with and ultimately rejecting its values. Hmm. Quotes on art. Then speak about art in the abstract, grandiose sense that some might expect from an actor of his stature. Instead, his quotes, whether about acting, creativity, or Hollywood, reflect a pragmatic, often skeptical view of art as a craft stripped of pretension. Here are some notable Brando quotes that touch on his perspective on art, particularly in the context of acting in the entertainment industry. On acting's simplicity. Acting is the least mysterious of all crafts. Everybody acts, whether it's a little girl playing with her dolls or a politician making a speech. Often elevated as art was just an extension of natural human behavior, not some sacred calling. On the illusion of artistry, to grasp the full significance of life is the actor's duty, to interpret it is his problem, and to express it, his dedication. To grasp the full significance of life is the actor's duty, to interpret it is his problem, and to express it, his dedication. While this sounds lofty, Brando delivered it with a sense of irony, suggesting the duty was more about survival in a shallow industry than a noble pursuit. On Hollywood's bastardization of art, the only thing an actor owes his public is not to bore them. Brando reduces the actor's role to a functional task, dismissing the idea that art should be about self important expression and creative control. I'm not an artist, I'm a bum who found a way to make a living. This self deprecating line underscores his rejection of the artist label, framing his work as a hustle rather than high minded endeavor. I'm not an artist, I'm a bum who found a way to make a living. This self deprecating line underscores his rejection of the artist label, framing his work as a hustle rather than a high minded endeavor. On the absurdity of fame and art, if you're an actor, you're just a small part of a giant machine. The director, the script, the lights, it's all more important than you are. Actor's contribution as overblown, hinting that the art of the film was more about collaboration and luck than individual genius. On selling out, I made a lot of money by not giving a damn about the movies I made. The script reveals a cynicism about the artistic integrity of his later work, admitting he treated it as a paycheck rather than a creative outlet. Brando's quotes are on art aren't flowery or inspirational, they are blunt, grounded, and often laced with sarcasm. He saw acting as a trade he had mastered, not a divine gift, and he had little patience for the romanticized notion of the starving artist. His method training under Stella Adler emphasized truth and emotion, but he rarely framed it as art in public. He would rather call it a tool or a trick. For instance, he once said of his streetcar performance, I just did what I felt, shrugging off attempts to analyze it as a masterpiece. His memoir and interviews like those with Lawrence Grobel and conversations with Brando show he cared more about life's raw experiences than the polished veneer of artifice Hollywood peddled. If you want a deeper dive, let me know. Very interesting. Let's see his method acting. What do we have about the method acting? Alright, we'll also do a quick next and try another way. Ok. Oui, c'est moi. Continue. Perfect. We got our live chat running now. Alright, we are here. Method acting. Marlon Brando's method acting revolutionized performance in film and theater, bridging an unprecedented level of emotional authenticity and naturalism that set him apart from the more theatrical, polished styles of his predecessors. Rooted in the teachings of Konstantin Stanislavski and adapted by his mentor Stella Adler, his approach to the method wasn't just a technique, it was a philosophy of inhabiting a character so fully that the line between actor and the role blurred. Here's a detailed look. The method, as Brando learned it, emphasized drawing from personal experiences and emotions to create a truthful portrayal rather than relying on external gestures or exaggerated delivery. Under Adler's guidance, whom he studied at the Actors Studio in New York in late 40s, internalized her twist on Stanislavski. Imagination and emotional recall were key, but you didn't need to relive trauma to become the character. Adler taught him to observe life, tap into his own feelings, and project them into the role's circumstances. Brando took this and ran with it, adding his own instincts. He focused on emotional memory, using his own past joys, pains, or fears to fuel a scene, physical realism, letting his body language, slouches, mumbles, or pauses reflect the character's internal state. Improvisation. Deviating from scripts to find spontaneous organic moments. Emotional memory, using his own past joys, pains, or fears to fuel a scene. Physical realism, letting his body language, slouches, mumbles, or pauses reflect the character's inner state. Improvisation, deviating from scripts to find spontaneous organic moments. Stanley Kowalski. Brando didn't just play a brute, he lived him. His sweaty, torn t shirt, animalistic energy, and mumbled delivery, Stella, came from a deep well of primal emotion. He'd pace, fidget, or yell midline, breaking the rhythm of traditional acting. Director Elia Kazan, a method advocate, let Brando improvise, like when he picked up Vivian Leigh's glove and toyed with it. A small, unscripted choice that spoke volumes about Stanley's dominance and curiosity. Critics and audience were stunned. It felt like watching a real man unravel, not an actor perform. On the waterfront, played Terry Malloy, a washed boxer turned informer. Brando used quiet vulnerability to devastating effect. The famous "I could have been a contender" scene with Rod Steiner wasn't loud or melodramatic. It was soft, broken, and real. Brando drew on his own feelings of regret and inadequacy. He often felt like an outsider himself, and his subtle gestures, like brushing Steiner's gun away, came from instinct, not rehearsal. He won his first Oscar for the cementing the method's power. The Godfather. As Vito Corleone, Brando transformed with minimal fuss, cotton balls in his cheeks, raspy voice, and a stooped posture. He spent hours observing aging Italian mafiosi, channeling their stillness and authority. The method here wasn't the restraint, every glance or sigh carried weight. His improvised moments, like playing with a cat in the opening scene, added a human layer to the mythic dawn. He didn't just memorize lines, he would study the character's world. For Streetcar, he reportedly hung out with working class guys in Orleans to absorb their rhythms. For Waterfront, he shadowed boxers and dock workers. Rejection of overacting. He hated indicating when actors signal emotions broadly. Instead, he would underplay, letting silences or a twitch convey more than dialogue could. Collaboration. He thrived with method-friendly directors like Kazan, who gave him room to explore. On Streetcar, he would workshop scenes live, finding the character through trial and error. His method broke Hollywood's mold. Before him, stars like Clark Gable and Cary Grant leaned on charisma and diction. Brando brought a gritty, unpredictable edge, think James Dean or Robert De Niro, who followed in his footsteps. His performances felt lived in, not staged, influencing generations of actors to prioritize truth over polish. But as his career progressed, his relationship with the method shifted. Early on, it was his passion. His streetcar stage run 1947 to 49 left audiences weeping. Later, he grew cynical, calling acting a bum's life, and using the method more as a tool for efficiency than a sacred art. On Apocalypse Now 79, he arrived unprepared, forcing improvisation that director Francis Ford Coppola had to wrestle into coherence, showing him his once disciplined approach could veer into chaos. His method wasn't about showy technique, it was about stripping away artifice. He made audiences feel they were eavesdropping on real lives, not watching a performance. His slurred speech, brooding intensity, and physicality, born from Adler's lessons and his own restless soul, turned acting into something visceral. Even when he mocked it later, saying, I just did what I felt, that instinct was the method's triumph, a bridge between the actor's inner world and the character's reality. Emotional memory, physical realism, improvisation. Beautiful. All right.